Mornings on the Hill, 1 year of COVID in central New York. We sit down with Onondaga Health Commissioner Dr. Indu Gupta to find out her message to students.
And Governor Andrew Cuomo is expanding COVID-19 eligibility, what that means for you if you're a student, a worker, or a staff member at the university.
Anti-Asian hate crimes have increased nationwide, and we hear how the Asian SU community is feeling.
All that and more coming up on Mornings on the Hill.
Good morning, I'm Madison Hillmeyer. Thanks for joining us for Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Rob Flax. We begin with breaking news this morning. 8 women are dead after 3 separate shootings last night at 3 massage parlors in North Atlanta. More than half of the women were Asian American, and authorities are investigating the incident as a hate crime. One suspect is in custody. 21-year-old Robert Long was arrested in South Atlanta last night.
This comes at a time where anti-Asian racism is increasing nationwide, and that includes incidents found on and around Syracuse University's campus. Our Natalie Fahmy is live with how the SU Asian community is feeling targeted. Natalie?
Thanks, Madison. Now, this, of course, comes with the breaking news overnight where 8 people were shot dead in Atlanta, 6 of them appearing to be Asian women. Experts are tying the increase in hate crimes against Asians to the COVID-19 virus originating in Wuhan, China. And right here on this campus, there have been a string of incidents, both verbal and most recently in written form.
Flyers reading "Beware of Chinese government student agents" have been found in multiple buildings on SU's campus. Student Association Diversity Committee member Zintong Su says she is disappointed.
I'm not that surprised this time when I heard that. It's more like of a, okay, this is coming back again.
Despite SU's statement where they say they are disgusted by the recent events, Su still does not feel comfortable knowing that those responsible could still be on campus.
You might, see them on the dining hall, on the streets, in the library. And it just, I don't think that's a good environment.
In 2020, anti-Asian hate crimes increased by 150% in the United States. An online database that allows people to report their cases has received over 2,800 submissions in 10 months. Student Association President Justine Hastings says she is not shocked.
It's either that people are just willfully ignorant or, they know better, but they choose not to do better.
Sue says she saw former President Trump encourage his base by calling COVID-19 the Chinese virus, despite the possible repercussions.
That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus.
They don't think racism is a big thing anymore. They don't think it's wrong. And they think they have a reason to make such hateful speeches.
And Sue says she thinks SU should do more to educate their students.
Getting to know a culture is the best way to eliminate racism.
Now, there are a number of resources on campus, including the Center for International Services, Barnes Center, and Stop Bias, where students can report any incidents they see, hear, or feel victimized by. For now, reporting live on campus for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Natalie Fahmy.
Now, Syracuse Abroad has announced a $1.4 million addition to the scholarship and grant funding. The commitment makes abroad programs more accessible to students. The new funds will be given to undergraduate students participating in the semester program during 2021 through 2022 academic year. Now, the deadline to submit an application for this fall is April 1st.
More than a year has passed since Onondaga County reported its first COVID-19 case. Mornings on the Hill reporter Michael Cortez explains how one Syracuse alum has not only helped spread awareness, but led a community. Michael?
And that Syracuse alum is Dr. Indu Gupta. who has been one of the county's leaders in the fight against COVID-19 during the pandemic. I was lucky enough to sit down with the Onondaga Health Commissioner, who has been leading the community during the pandemic.
As regulations across the country start to lighten up, Onondaga Health Commissioner Dr. Indu Gupta explains why getting vaccinated is so important for the community.
And we want everybody to get vaccine wherever they can get the appointment, and people shouldn't just wait that, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it afterwards, and I'm going to have my friends and family get it first, and we should say, take care of yourself. I think this is important.
Onondaga County has multiple vaccination sites, which include the On Center, the fairgrounds, and some pharmacies across the county.
These three vaccines are great. Anyone which is available, offered, anybody should take it. So this is added tool. However, what I would remind people, getting a vaccine, it's not a free ride to go and have party. But even after the vaccination, you should follow this, because right now, why people say, because we have variants who are appearing in our community.
Yesterday, 26% of COVID cases in Onondaga County were people between 20 and 29 years old. With holidays coming up, Dr. Gupta gives advice to students.
Are at the sprinting at the last finish line. Let's not try to get so exhausted that we just throw our everything away and then say we are done. No, you're almost there. We're almost there. So just keep it at, and then make sure that we can protect not only ourselves, our loved one, but our friends and family. So that's what I would like all the students to remember, that because their actions actually can save their friends, their families. We are all, it's like a domino effect.
You know, there's a holiday tomorrow. Do you have any message for students playing it safe on St. Patrick's Day?
My message will be is that try not to do big gatherings.
We received breaking news that Vice Chancellor Haney sent in an email. Since last week, there's been 46 new COVID cases among students. He says it's a large on-campus cluster in the residence halls, which is much different. When speaking with Dr. Gupta, she said something to me, that if we want to go back to normal, we need to follow science, because data speaks and science speaks. For Mornings on the Hill, this is Michael Cortez.
We apologize for some technical difficulties, but last week, Governor Cuomo announced the most significant vaccine eligibility expansion to date, with huge implications for the SU community. Mornings on the Hill reporter James Corrigan is live to tell us just what those implications are. James?
Well, the guidelines put out by the governor stated that those in, quote, public-facing roles would be eligible for the vaccine starting today. Now, initially, there was some confusion as to who that would include, but Syracuse Vice Chancellor Michael Haney delivered the good news in an email late last week, saying that Syracuse employees who work in person on campus would be eligible for the vaccine starting right now. Employees including custodians and maintenance workers who were previously not eligible for the vaccine now are, thanks to the new guidelines. But the biggest impact may be with student workers, including RAs, office staff, and here at Newhouse, the workers at the equipment checkout center known as the Cage. I spoke to one Cage employee who tells me that her daily interactions with students makes the vaccine critical for her and her coworkers.
Great, because we deal with people coming from everywhere, especially equipment that needs to be cleaned. We don't know what the equipment has been, so we're definitely exposed to COVID every day, even though we might not know, obviously. So I think it's great that we're having this opportunity, and it's really important.
Carvalho tells me that she will be getting her first dose today on the first day that she's eligible, and she says that she is hopeful that in the not-too-distant future, she and all of her fellow SU workers will be fully vaccinated. Reporting live, James Corrigan, Mornings on the Hill.
Thanks, James. And coming up on Mornings on the Hill, U100 ambassadors shared their experience with the new virtual recruitment.
Students from more than 130 countries come to Syracuse for a world-class.
Also coming up, we'll have your St. Patrick's Day weather and that 5-day forecast. We'll tell you if the springtime weather is coming in. Stay with us.
Well, the leprechaun must have dug some springtime weather up into Syracuse. Sally Walkup is live on the weather deck to tell us about those warmer temperatures that are coming our way. Sally, what can we look forward to?
Top of the morning to you, Rob, and happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. It's currently a little chilly out here. Everybody's bundled up, but thankfully by this afternoon, you shouldn't need that heavy of a jacket as the sun starts to peek through. So let's just jump into today's forecast. Unfortunately, our leprechaun didn't grant us much sun or many rainbows in the forecast today. We're mostly cloudy with winds from the southeast, but we will have warmer weather this afternoon. Starting out our morning in the 30s, by midday, we'll see the sun start to peek through and temps rise to the 40s, finishing off today in the mid-50s before dropping back down to lower 40s tonight. Temperatures are about average for this time of year, but look at that record high of 80. That weather would make me so happy right now that I could dance an Irish jig. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast heading into this weekend. Tomorrow, grab your umbrella and rain boots before heading out the door. About an 80% chance of rain, highs in the mid-40s and a low of 22. Friday, the cold weather returns, so make sure you bundle up for temps in the 30s. Perfect weather to keep us all indoors and maybe watch the Syracuse men's basketball game. The weekend, finally some sunshine. Saturday's the colder of the 2 days with highs in the mid-40s and a low of 25. Sunday, make sure you soak up all of that sunshine in the forecast. A high of 60. It's the perfect day to go for a walk or eat lunch outside. Maybe watch the SU women's game. A low chance of rain that day, and by nightfall, lows back in the 30s. Rob, that's our weather report. If you do happen to see a rainbow today, please follow it to the pot of gold and let me know where it is. Reporting live for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Sally Walkup.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Good weather out there. For the second consecutive year, Syracuse University has set a record high for first-year student applications. The rise in applications follows an entirely virtual recruitment period. As of March 8th, almost 40,000 high school seniors applied to SU. That's a 24% increase from last year. In addition, 39% of the applicant pool is Black, a 37% climb compared to last year. Dean of Undergraduate Admissions Maurice Harris said in part, quote, "This year's applicant pool reflects Syracuse University's deep and ongoing commitment to inclusion, opportunity, and academic excellence, as well as we attract and admit students of talent and promise from all over the globe," end quote.
And when SU canceled in-person campus tours, U100 ambassadors had to readjust to virtual events. And our Adriana Rosa Rivera is outside Krause-Heinz Hall with the latest on the U100 program.
Thanks, Rob. And in-person campus tours continue to be on pause due to the COVID-19 pandemic. U100 ambassadors have had to shift to virtual recruitment. And I talked to a couple U100 students who said that although it is effective, it will never truly replace an in-campus person tour.
In the heart of New York State, students from more than 130 countries come to Syracuse for a world-class education.
This is what prospective students see when they start the virtual Syracuse University tour. Syracuse University U100 ambassadors have been sidelined for a year now. Ambassadors give in-person tours which were canceled at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and admissions events are virtual now. But U100 ambassadors are eager to get back to in-person tours. Ambassador Kate Carnial said doing virtual events makes it harder to connect with prospective students.
I think one of the hardest parts as a student ambassador is kind of being able to still reflect that sense of community that Syracuse has while not really being able to do the typical things we did because we want to stay safe.
Lucas Gibson joined the U100 program right before the pandemic struck, which made it harder to get experience within the program.
I got into it and COVID hit almost right away. So a lot of my experience has just been kind of sitting around waiting for everything to die down and then getting re-involved with the club after.
While the ambassadors haven't been told how soon in-person campus tours will restart, they believe it will likely be in the fall and dependent on the rest of the vaccination rollout. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Adriana Rosas Rivera.
And folks, SU yesterday announced that they broke records for first-year applications for next fall. Over 39,000 students applied to join the incoming freshman class. That's a 24% increase from just last year. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Adriana Rosas Rivera.
Looking ahead to next week, students can register for the virtual career and internship fair that takes place on March 25th from 3 to 7. Prior to the fair, SU Career Services will hold 2 seminars tomorrow, March 18th. Tips for navigating a virtual career fair will be tomorrow at noon. The virtual career fair readiness workshop is from 2 to 3 p.m., all leading up to the virtual career fair next week.
And still to come here on Mornings on the Hill, the road to the national championship begins this week for SU men's and women's basketball teams. Find out how both teams are preparing ahead of the first round when we come back.
Welcome back. It's a busy week in the world of SU sports. Good morning. I'm Manny Martinez with your Orange Sports Update for Mornings on the Hill. We begin our rounds with the Syracuse men's basketball team. The Orange punched their ticket into the NCAA tournament on Sunday. The tournament selection committee surprised many by giving Syracuse the 11th seed in the Midwest region. The seeding means the Cuse bypassed playing their way into the field of 64 in a first 4 matchup. The Orange will face off against 6th-seeded San Diego State in their first game on Friday. The Aztecs are going into the game sporting a 23-4 record and a Mountain West Conference championship to boot. Plus, SDSU has won its last 14 straight. Long story short, they're hot. SU head coach Jim Boeheim knows the Aztecs will be tough to beat.
It's really a deep team. A lot of the same guys that went, we're going to be a 1 seed last year. I think they're probably could be a 2 or 3 seed this year. They're really good. You couldn't get a tougher matchup.
Boeheim and his squad have 2 more days to prep for their first round game on Friday in Indianapolis. Tip-off is a late one, 9:40. Syracuse women's basketball is also celebrating this week. The women are headed to San Antonio to try and cap off their season with a deep run at a national title. On Monday, SU women's basketball watched and waited to find out their tournament fate. The Orange will be an 8th seed in the women's tournament starting on Sunday. Their first opponent, South Dakota State, the same team that knocked the Orange out 2 years ago. Tiana Mangakahia and her teammates see this matchup as a chance at revenge.
Saw South Dakota State, I was like, yes. I was super, motivated, pumped, because, I feel like we should have won 2 years ago. But it's a completely different team, and I know it's different this year,
Tip-off between Syracuse and South Dakota State in the opening round of the tournament is slated for Sunday at 5:30. Now, switching gears, 5th-ranked Syracuse men's lacrosse has a new opponent this weekend. SU was originally scheduled to play against Hofstra, but COVID protocols have forced the Pride to put their season on pause. Instead, Syracuse will now play 1 and 2 Holy Cross. The 2nd-ranked Syracuse women's lacrosse team came back to beat number 4 Notre Dame on Sunday. The Orange took care of the Irish 15-12. The Cuse stays undefeated at a perfect 5-0. Orange sophomore midfielder Caitlin Mashewski won ACC Defensive Player of the Week yesterday for her performance, on top of being named U.S. Lacrosse Player of the Week. And despite an upsetting football season, Syracuse fullback Chris Elmore made sacrifices for the team in 2020, putting his body on the line to help the Orange take the field. Our Troy Rose has more. Troy?
That is correct. When I think of Chris Elmore, the word perseverance comes to mind. And after a season filled with COVID restrictions and injuries, Elmore still found a way to lead his team, but it came with a cost.
The Orange finished 1-10, but players like Chris Elmore, aka Rhino, made sacrifices for the season to even be possible, playing both offense and defense to fill the roster after players opted out.
I can really show my versatility and go play left guard and then come back next year and play fullback. So, once they dropped that rule, I had no problem moving left guard for the better of the team.
But sometimes sacrifice comes with a price. And for Elmore, playing both sides of the ball, it began to have wear and tear on his body.
I battled with a shoulder injury. Later down the line, I broke a tooth during the Clemson game, and then our third from last game, I ended up having an ankle injury against Louisville, and then from there, it was just like, I need to move back to fullback.
The start of 2021 was no different. A torn meniscus set Elmore again as he prepared for the spring season.
I dealt with a torn meniscus before on my right knee. I dealt with two actually. Dealt with one where it was serious and I had a 6-month recovery time period. Got it re-injured during that season and just had a quick trim, so it wasn't nothing but a 3-week recovery, which was the same for this knee, my left knee.
But with rehab and the support of his teammates, Elmore is back on his feet and working towards a new season with new expectations.
That 1 in 10 left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm like, how can I leave my team when this is the team that I started with, seen at its highest of its highs and its lowest of its lows, and I want to finish off as one of the highest.
And I appreciate Elmore taking the time out to tell his story. And as for now, Rhino is back on the field, preparing for March 30th, which is when spring ball is set to start. And the season will kick off September 4th against Ohio Universities in Athens. I'm Troy Rose for Mornings on the Hill. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Troy. Clearly, Elmore always puts in that work. That is going to do it for sports this morning. Madison, back to you.
Thanks, Manny. I know what I'm going to be doing this weekend, watching some SU sports. And coming up on Mornings on the Hill, we'll take a look at the buzz around social media caused by the Grammys.
Thanks for joining us. After being postponed, the 63rd annual Grammys made its way to our screens, and our entertainment correspondent Daracia Singleton has the people's reactions on this year's Grammys.
One of the biggest nights in music took place this past Sunday, March 14th, and since we couldn't be there, social media was the next best place to be. Harry Styles was definitely the talk of the web Sunday night with tweets like this here. I'm not gonna lie, I like Harry Styles. The Grammy performance won me over. And who runs the world? Girls. Michelle Obama congratulated Beyonce on her 28th Grammy, making her the singer with the most Grammys. And Megan Thee Stallion congratulated by her Rock Nation label as she walks away with 3 Grammys. I also spoke with Syracuse student Walker Simmons to get his Grammys reaction.
Watching it, I got a better appreciation for a lot of the bands. Watching them perform live on TV was really cool. I will say, Black Pumas, didn't really know who they were until I watched the Grammys, and now I've been listening to them all week.
And let's not forget about the performances. Away from its usual location at the Staples Center, the circle of stages was dedicated to live performances by Lil Baby, Billie Eilish, and Cardi B, just to name a few. I'm Daracia Singleton reporting live for Mornings on the Hill. Back to you guys.
Well, I gotta say, I was really happy to watch the Grammys. Good thing Taylor Swift got that album of the year. And, Beyonce now has the record for the most amount of Grammys. We'd love to see that. And I gotta say, Dua Lipa, she got bullied on Twitter to becoming a performer. She performed like crazy.
Okay, that is going to do it for us here this Wednesday on Mornings on the Hill. I'm Madison Hillmeyer. Follow us on social media.
And I'm Rob Flax. Thanks for watching Orange Nation. We'll see you next Wednesday right here at 10 a.m. right here on OTN.